Hey guys, I just watched Ebola Syndrome, which I actually have right here. The VHS tape of Ebola Syndrome. This movie was actually previously banned in a few countries. I'm not sure whether it was banned in America or not, but it was banned in a few countries. And someone actually uploaded it to YouTube. However, it is a VHS transfer, so it's not going to be crystal clear. I don't even know if this movie is available on DVD. I hope it is, because I would like to get it. But that aside, this movie is really interesting to watch because it was filmed in Hong Kong. Part of the movie is filmed in Hong Kong, and part of the movie is filmed in Johannesburg, South Africa. I was about to say spoiler alert, but do I really need to do a spoiler alert for a movie that's 20 years old? Just in case, spoiler alert. The main character of this movie is Kai, and he's the most vile, disgusting person I have ever seen in a movie. I mean, he's so disgusting. He threw gasoline on a little girl and threatened to set her on fire. He gleefully commits rape twice, and then ultimately he runs around purposely trying to spread Ebola. Be forewarned, this movie is filled with a lot of messed up dialogue. The most racially insensitive and politically incorrect things are said throughout this movie. As a matter of fact, I don't even think you would be able to make this movie today. If you tried to film and distribute this movie today, it would be, oh no. You think of that lady on The Simpsons, what about the children? That's what you would get. Those people would come out of the woodwork. You could not film this movie today. There's very, very little gore in this movie. There's more of a gross out element because Kai does things like cut a hole in a piece of chicken and then masturbate into it, or rape an unconscious woman who then vomits on him. It's nasty, but it's not gory. As far as the very little gore effects they have, there was an autopsy scene where the body looked completely fake and rubbery. However, the entrails looked really, really real. So real that I'm wondering whether they went to a butcher and got cow intestines or pig intestines to double for human intestines. That's how real that scene looked. I really like the soundtrack. It went along with the mood of the movie. I can't judge the coloring or anything like that because I've only seen the deteriorated VHS copy. I would love to see this movie remastered, maybe put on Blu-ray, and with director's commentary would be amazing if they did that. I'll have to look into that and see if they even have this on DVD. The movie ultimately culminates in Kai running through Hong Kong, holding a little girl that he abducted, trying to spit on people or throw his blood on people and yelling Ebola. Like literally running through the streets yelling Ebola! Ebola! And just spitting on people and just trying to infect everyone. Eventually the police catch up to him and they actually end up setting him on fire. And then while he's on fire, he gets hit by a car. I'm not sure whether it was a police car or not, can't remember. And then after he got hit and run over with the car, the police shoot him multiple times. And I couldn't help but think, wow, they've been watching American police training videos, haven't they? Anyways, like I said, this movie has been banned. By American standards, it would be considered extreme, but not as extreme. I mean, it's not extreme. This is like play by Japanese standards. You have to go to a whole nother level of fucked upness to reach Japanese movie standards of craziness. But to an American audience, this is a bit much. I enjoyed it. If you like extreme movies, extreme horror, anything that pushes the envelope, I would definitely recommend watching Ebola Syndrome. I'll put it on the same list as people put Salo, Cannibal Holocaust. See, I want there to be two separate lists because I feel like there's two different types of disturbing. There's the disturbing in that, oh, this is a really sick thing to look at, and that's where I would put this movie and Salo and Cannibal Holocaust. And then there's disturbing in that this really makes me feel uncomfortable to watch, and I'm never gonna really want to watch this movie again because I feel that shook up by it. And those movies I would say are like Martyrs, Requiem for a Dream, and maybe I'm unique in this, but Kids was a very disturbing movie to me. It's not even a horror movie, but it was very disturbing to me that how everything played out in the ending. Where was I? Oh yeah, if you like nasty, disgusting type disturbing, I would definitely watch this movie. It was a lot of fun. Here are my ratings for Ebola Syndrome. For scare score, obviously none. It's not, well, I don't know whether it's meant to be scary in a horror movie type of way. I'm sure the concept of someone spreading Ebola is scary, but watching the movie was not scary at all. Gore score, I'm gonna give it a 4 for ew, gross. Even though it wasn't technically gory, it was just so nasty. Like a lot of the things that happened in this movie were so beyond disgusting. It just made you go ew. So I'm giving it a Gore score 4 just for that reason. For the fun factor, also giving it a 4 because it was a fun movie to watch. Even upon rewatching it, it's still a fun movie for me to watch. I mean, as long as you don't take it seriously, it's pretty funny. People have been telling me over and over again that I need to add Visitor Q onto my list of extreme movies. I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to go watch it now. I'm going to tell you how I feel about that. By the way, it is a Japanese extreme movie and directed by Takashi Miike, and as I just said, Japanese level of extreme is above and beyond everyone else's, whereas the movie we just talked about, Ebola Syndrome, is Hong Kong extreme, I would say. I'm going to go check out Visitor Q, and I will be back in a moment to tell you what I felt about it. Okay, I just watched Visitor Q, and yeah, as I said before, Visitor Q is directed by Takashi Miike, and it starts out in a really creepy way, kind of like a found footagey way, with this young girl. I guess she's a prostitute and she's messing with this older guy, and it's semi-funny in how things happen. She actually charges him extra for being a two-pump chump, and then she makes fun of him for finishing early. So then he leaves, and he's at looks like he was at a train station, maybe it was a bus station. Just out of nowhere, this guy comes up and hits him on the head with a rock. Then we cut to a scene with a teenage boy in the house, and he's abusing his mother because she forgot to do something. I wish I could remember what it was she forgot to do. The teenage boy literally abuses his mother. Like, he beats her with these things that almost looks like a tennis racket without the laces in it. I don't know. It was weird to see a teenager beat up his mother, but he was beating the crap out of his mother like she stole something. And then it cuts again to them having dinner together, and the guy who hit the man on the head with a rock is at the dinner table, and the guy who got hit by the rock is obviously the father, and he just tells his wife and his abusive son, this is so-and-so, he's gonna be visiting for a while. Okay. Then we cut to a scene where the kid is up in his room, and I guess he's being bullied, but these bullies take it to a whole nother level. They're shooting bottle rockets. I think they were bottle rockets, or were they Roman candles? Might have been Roman candles through the windows of his room, starting little fires. So I'm like, that's above and beyond bullying somebody. And then there's some other stuff during the movie that they make him do that defies logic, that level of bullying. Then we get to the scene of the mother going to her room alone and just shooting up heroin. So we have established in this movie that this entire family is all the way messed up. You got the son who's being bullied and abusing his mother, you have the mother shooting heroin, you have the father visiting possibly underage prostitute, and then you have this Visitor Q guy. I don't know what his deal is. I'm taking a guess at what the father's job is. I believe he's meant to be a reporter of some sort, or a journalist. He tries to interview some teenagers, but they just beat him up and pretty much make fun of him. His life kind of sucks. I think he has a kind of sort of mistress. It was hard to tell. He was talking to this woman as if she was his mistress, but then they didn't really do anything together. I don't know. I almost forgot to mention, when the teenagers grabbed him and assaulted him, they took his microphone and shoved it up his behind. Literally. I would try to continue to tell you what the plot is, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. About 30 minutes in, my husband said, this shit is deviant, and he just tapped out and couldn't watch it anymore. But then he couldn't rewatch Martyrs with me either. I told him to try to watch it again, but he would not do it. I've seen it about 3 times now. Maybe I'm just desensitized. Well, not completely. There were some genuinely cringe-worthy moments. Like, there's 2 lactating scenes. There's a scene in the greenhouse that I don't even want to describe because that would take all the surprise out of it for if you ever end up watching it yourself. But just know that there's a scene in the greenhouse that is all kinds of nasty. I can see the artistic merit in this movie, but I still feel like it's a bit overrated. I mean, people really put it up on this pedestal. Oh my god, it's the weirdest thing that you've ever seen. It's actually not the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I would say the weirdest thing I've ever seen would be a tie between Funky Forest and what's the name of that movie with the lady who she had a tree baby that was greedy something? Greedy Guts and Funky Forest. Those are probably the 2 weirdest things I've seen. I would say honorable mention goes to Eraserhead, but definitely Funky Forest. That defies explanation. I'll have to talk about that one of these days. I will say that some people will find this movie a bit slow, especially during the beginning, but there's enough weirdness that if you hang in there, there's more weirdness to come. That's all I can say about that. I can't say that I enjoyed this movie. I will say more or less I endured this movie. It was was not that entertaining. It wasn't like Ebola Syndrome. Ebola Syndrome was more entertaining to me than Visitor Q. Visitor Q was kind of like well, let's see if we can just string some random scenes together. And, well, no, let me take that back. It wasn't random. There was a moral in this story. The moral I got out of it was that this family was incredibly fucked up. Then Visitor Q came and he made them slightly less fucked up. That would be the moral to the story. My rating. Scare score? None. There was nothing scary about it. Gore score? There wasn't gore, but there was a whole lot of nastiness, and I'm gonna give that a 4 for ill, gross nastiness. Fun factor? I'm gonna give it a 2. It wasn't really that fun to watch. It was okay. It was mediocre as far as fun. And when I say mediocre, picture Morton Joe from Mad Max saying it, mediocre. That's what it felt like. That's my score. But you gotta watch for yourself. Just because I like something doesn't mean you're not gonna hate it, and just because I hate something doesn't mean you're not gonna like it. So you're just gonna have to watch it for yourself. If you've seen Visitor Q, please tell me what you thought it was about, and if you enjoyed it, and would you ever watch it again?